welcome to Good Games Spawn Point, the show for gamers by gamers. I'm Bajo.
And I'm Hex.
And I am D.A.R.R.E.N.
This week we'll be wall running through the sky worlds of Cloudbuilt.
That game gives me vertigo. We'll also be keeping the evil empire on the run in Star Wars Assault Team.
Say, Darren, you're friends with R2-D2. Have you heard from him lately?
Oh, affirmative. We caught up at the recent Galactic Council for Interplanetary Droid Relations. He was beeping and booping all night.
Quite lively for an old droid, isn't he? All right, Darren, hit us with a fresh challenge.
Ah, affirmative. Boot up your best brain waves. It's time for Darren's challenge. This week, I want you to identify this character and which game he's from.
Nice one, Darren. All right, guys, now it's time for Goose with the news.
Goose here with the Spawn Point news. A 5-year-old American boy has managed to expose a substantial security flaw in Xbox Live. Christopher von Hassel discovered he could simply fill a password verification box with spaces to gain access to his father's account. Christopher's dad reported the incident to Microsoft, who promptly fixed the flaw. As a token of their appreciation, they gave the Von Hassels some free games, a year of Xbox Live, and added Christopher's name to their list of security researchers. A study at the University of Michigan has concluded that playing Minecraft is healthier for kids than watching TV. The study looked at just over 1,000 students in Year 6 and found that the children who watched more TV were more likely to eat junk food. They theorised that this is due to extra exposure to ads for junk food, as well as that playing games keeps your hands busy and out of the chip packet. They did note that heavy game players and TV watchers were both unhealthier than children limited to less than an hour of screen time a day. In a bit more Minecraft news, take a look at this awesome Minecraft city known as Titan City. It was built over 18 months, mostly by a user known as Fox Gaming on the Xbox 360 version of the game. Amazing! And finally, German engineers have built this robotic kangaroo for some reason, which they call Robot. Ha, what will they think of next? Well, that's all the news for this week. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Goose. Okay, my young Padawans, it's time to see if the Force is strong in this new Star Wars game.
Star Wars Assault Team is a free-to-play game that takes us back to a galaxy far, far away. But this time, our heroes are using their blasters and lightsabers for some turn-based, touchscreen combat. Guys, I was a bit worried after the first few levels of this game, because gameplay-wise, it's pretty basic.
Affirmative. You follow a set path and just tap to open boxes and attack enemies. More stormtroopers? Better tap that one. And that one. Oh, another squad. Engaging repetition circuits.
Yeah, it does feel a little bit like a Star Wars theme park ride, doesn't it? You just cruise around on rails while the next group of enemies patiently waits their turn. I did think the gameplay settled into a better groove once I'd rescued Chewie and escaped the Star Destroyer, though.
It does get a little bit better once you gather a 4-person team.
Don't forget the droids, Bajo.
Oh, yes. Oh, and there's also aliens, so a 4-life-form team. Yeah. Each member of your team has a unique special move that they can unleash every few turns. For instance, Chewbacca can yell to get enemies to focus their attacks on him, or R2 can do an electrical surge to take out other droids. Deciding when to use your specials and when to save them is your one key tactical move.
Yeah, finding the right balance of characters for my band of rebel heroes was quite tricky. Early on, I made the mistake of relying on too many strong fighters, but then I realised it was essential to have a medic around to heal everyone up.
Oh, affirmative. I also made the mistake of rushing into the Kashyyyk Wookiee homeworld unprepared. Those spiders sliced me to pieces. But after that, I made sure I did some extra side missions to collect more training items to level my characters up.
I was surprised at how much fun I was actually having once I'd unlocked some of the classic characters, such as Luke Skywalker. I got excited every time I used his super move to deflect lasers back at the enemies. And getting to take on Womp Rats with a lightsaber was pretty awesome.
Yeah, the combat was okay, I guess, but I can't really say the same for the story. The game is set between A New Hope and The Empire Strikes Back, but it's just told through a few poorly animated moments. And cheesy lines of text. So much cheese. Look, I think this game's biggest flaw is its pushy in-game purchases. I mean, they ruined it for me. At the start, you've got loads of gems and in-game coins that the game uses as its currency. But after a few hours, I felt I was locked out of most of the levels and upgrades unless I wanted to spend real money.
Yeah, it's a real shame, isn't it? I reached this point in the game where I couldn't progress to later levels until I paid to upgrade my characters. And where's the fun in that? So I'm giving it 4 out of 10 rubber chickens.
It's 4.5 from me. Well, Assault Team may have been a bit of a disappointment, but at least that Star Wars music is still so great.
Oh, speaking of music, remember Reese, the musician gamer we met a few weeks ago?
Oh, yeah.
He's given Goose a masterclass on how to compose music for games. Check it out.
Thanks, guys. Music is very important when it comes to video games, especially if you're making your own. So I'm here with Reese, who's composing his own music for a friend's video game. Reese, can you tell me what's the story behind this?
Well, so my friend has asked me to develop a main theme for a character that he's building. And so the way I would start is, I would find out if the character's good, if he's bad, even what he looks like.
So what's the first thing you do when you're coming up with a melody or a theme for a character?
Well, I'd have any sound I'd want, so a piano, or in this case, because I want to make it epic, sort of like strings and brass. And so what I've done, I developed this small but really catchy theme. It goes like this. At the time when constructing this, he only gave me a few words, so epic and triumphant and main character. But later on, when I was composing for the levels and whatnot, he gave me pictures.
How do you interpret that artwork into something musical?
On the color, on the variety of it, like how dark it is, how bright it is, I can determine, especially what the storyline's about, where the setting is. All these different factors definitely help into making a theme.
And so what sort of important things should you keep in mind when you're coming up with something like this theme?
You don't want to start too complicated, definitely simple. Don't stay on the one theme straight away, because chances are you could change it for the better or for the worse. So you want to keep playing that theme and then develop it, see what you can get out of it. See if you can go further with it, change to another theme. If you want 2 themes in it, that's really catchy.
So what sort of things should you do for inspiration while you're coming up with your theme? Should we be listening to similar sounding themes in other games or just other music entirely?
Yeah, it doesn't even have to be video games. You can listen to anything you want, like jazz, classical. It's where these video game themes actually come from. The main influences of those genres.
Okay, Reese, how do you take the sounds you're making on the keyboard and put them into the computer?
It's as simple as using a USB MIDI cable. You just plug it in, you get a signal, you select the track that you want, you hit the record button, and you're good as that, just play.
What are some of the challenges you face when you're building and composing your own song?
Well, first off, identifying the instruments that I want to use, so the theme that I want to go after. If it's going to be happy, sad, creepy, spooky, emotional, inspiring, there's a lot of things I got to think about before I start first. The finished product is the hardest challenge that I would actually face, because I'm always stuck there thinking, how would I finish it? And when I do an ending, it turns out to be another idea that I use for another theme.
Okay, and finally, Reese, what's your favorite thing about composing music for video games?
Adding to the environment, of course, like, you're playing a game and if there's nothing there, then I guess you're more attracted to it. But once you actually hear the music in that, you feel so much more involved, you understand what's going on. It's really fun to compose, just all the many different ideas I can get out there, and just to see what people think about it.
Great, okay. Can we have a listen to your final piece?
Sure can.
Thanks, Goose.
Yeah, that was really informative.
No time to waste, you two. It's time to answer questions at the Ask Good Game desk. Chop chop.
Okay, Bajo, are you ready for some questions?
I am, Hex.
All right, well, let's start with this one. It's from Octo Kid in Octo Dad Town in New South Wales.
Blub, 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 blub. Greetings, peoples. Blib, oh, blub, blub, blib, blib, blub, blib, blib, blub, blub. Blub, blub, blib, blib, blub, blub, blub. What are some other games like Octodad that you would recommend? Blibby, blib, blob, blob. Please answer sincerely, OctoKid. Well, OctoKid, Octodad is a pretty unique game, so there aren't many similar ones like it I can think of.
Yeah, but if you're just looking for games with hard-to-control characters and a bit of physical comedy, then there's actually quite a few out there. The first ones that come to mind are Foddy's games. I'd actually say he's responsible for kickstarting the whole genre of games with ridiculous controls. These are classics such as Quop, Clop, and GURP. And you can play all of these for free in a web browser.
Impossible to control characters are so in right now, aren't they, Hex? There's a pretty silly soccer game I saw called Goofball Goals that you might like to check out. It's probably a bit of a stretch to call it a soccer game, as you can see, but you can get a free demo to try it out. The full version is a few dollars and it lets you turn off the time limit and mess around with all kinds of settings for increased silliness.
Another silly one you might like to try is called Gang Beasts. It's basically like Quop meets Super Smash Bros. It's still in development, but you can download a free early version of that right now if you want.
Oh, and of course there was the recently released Goat Simulator. He's not particularly hard to control, but it is very silly and definitely the most accurate representation of goating I've ever seen.
I don't think goating is actually a word, Bajo.
I think you'll find it is a word, Hex. You know, when I was a kid, which by the way is also another word for a young goat, a bit of information for you there, I'd often goat around in the yard and my mum would say stuff like, "Stop goating around! Stop it, Bajo! Stop goating around!" True story.
Right. Okay, well, let's move on to this one from Warm Goldster in Sydney, New South Wales.
Would you like to see my goat impression?
I've actually already seen your... It's beautiful. And a bit scary. Do video games improve your reaction time? That's an interesting question, Warm Goldster. I mean, I'd say that they do, but haven't really got any science to back that up with, so I'm not really...
Oh, I bet that's Darren, and I bet he's got science to back it up because he's a robot and he knows all sorts of sciencey stuff.
He's totally into the science.
Ahoy hoy.
Hello, Bajo.
It is Darren.
I do indeed have some facts for you. A study has shown that certain types of video games do indeed improve a human's reaction time.
Yes, well, how did they figure that out, Darren?
Well, they took people who weren't ordinarily video game players and split them into two groups. Both groups played games for 50 hours. One group played fast-paced action games, while the other played slower, more strategic games. Then each group was given a series of tasks where they had to analyze what was happening on a screen and answer simple questions as quickly as possible. Those who played action games answered 25% faster and just as accurately compared to the other group.
Impressive. Well, there you go. Scientific proof that video games are good for you. Thanks for that, Darren.
Anytime, Bajo. Of course, everything should be done in moderation.
All right, well, let's move right along to this one from Peter, who is in Smash Hit Town, Victoria.
Hi, good game. I have two things. 1, Darren is a killer robot. 2, on Super Mario 3D World, I cannot finish the first level. Any tips? Thanks you, Peter, age 5.5. Well, Darren's really not so bad, Peter. He likes to charge his laser a lot, but he rarely ever uses it.
Yeah, his bark is a bit worse than his bite, I think. As for tips on 3D World, well, if you're struggling on the first level, then you're going to be in for a tough time because things get much harder later on.
But there's a couple of tips that could help you out. So firstly, I'd say choose Princess Peach as a character. She's a little bit slower, but her floating ability makes life a lot easier.
Yeah, you also might want to try and simply avoid enemies as much as possible rather than trying to jump on them, just to remove any chance of accidentally running into them.
You might also try and recruit a grown-up or friend to play some co-op with you. If you've got a co-op buddy, then if you fall off a level, you can spawn back in without having to go back to a checkpoint.
But if you're really struggling, then after a few deaths, you'll actually get access to the golden Tanuki suit, which makes you invincible. So make sure you grab that when you see it. Good luck with that, Peter. I'm sure with a bit of practice, then you're going to be stomping on Goombas like a pro in no time. But let's move on to this one from Roger Ramjet, who is flying through gaming history outside Australia. Hi Gigi, this is my first question I've ever asked. Well, I was wondering if you could show me and other gamers the new Spider-Man game or tell us a little bit about it. If you do, thanks. Oh yeah, by the way, I don't think Darren is a noob at all. Why don't you let the amazing robot answer this question? Well, I guess we better get Darren back on the phone then.
All right. Whoa! Oh, wow, that was fast.
That was quick, Darren.
Well, I do have you on speed dial. But to answer Mr. Ramjet's question, the next Spider-Man game is going to be The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Not to be confused with the 1992 Game Boy game, also called The Amazing Spider-Man 2. It's going to be set alongside the events of the new film. It'll be quite similar to the first Amazing Spider-Man game, but with a few notable changes. Firstly, web slinging will now be tied to buildings. In the first game, you could simply swing from nothing, which is preposterous. But now you will need your webs to actually attach to buildings.
Hopefully that'll add a bit more skill to the challenge to make it a bit more exciting.
Affirmative. There's also going to be sections of the game where you get to play as Peter Parker. Oh, and there's also a new morality meter. So depending on if you help people out in the open world, you can become a hero or a menace.
Oh, well, it all sounds promising, so I guess we'll find out how good it is when it actually comes out at the end of the month, I think. Is that right, Darren?
Affirmative.
All right, well, thanks so much, Darren.
Roger Ramjet, he's our man, hero of our nation.
Hang on,
For
hang on,
his
hang
adventures,
on.
just
He'll
be
sing all
sure and
day.
stay tuned to this station.
Right, well, time for just one more, so let's go with this one from Barrington III in Barringshire, Western Australia.
Darren's emailing me the lyrics of what he was just singing.
Oh, that was a cartoon. Do you remember seeing that?
I do. Yeah. He had a crazy hat.
Yeah, he was like a pilot or
Yeah.
something.
Hey, Bajo and Hex. I play War Thunder and World of Tanks. Could you give me some tips for both? I watch every week since the start. Bajo, do these faces, please. Please respond. Thanks. Bye!
Happy to oblige, Mr. Barrington. In a dogfighting game like War Thunder, the key to success is to control your speed and try to trick the enemy planes. So, say you've got a bogey right behind you.
Bogey.
It means enemy plane, Bajo. Say you've got a bogey on your 6, which means behind you. Not all is lost. If you do a barrel roll, then you'll slow down quickly and the bogey will shoot right past you. And now you're on his 6 and you can fire away. This sort of move is called a turn and burn. Also, altitude is very important. If you're higher than your foe, you can dive down to attack him quickly, then climb away unscathed.
Gotta watch out for those bogeys, Hex. Holding the high ground is important in World of Tanks too. If you're on a map with a hill, take the hill. You'll have a huge advantage. And don't forget cover, hide behind bushes and trees. If they can't see you, they can't hit you. If the other side has artillery, try to keep buildings and hills between you and their big guns.
In both games, you never want to face the enemy head on. And remember teamwork. Talk with your team and try to coordinate with them to sneak around to attack from their flank or the rear. And as always, practice makes perfect. But on that note, we're out of time for this week, so if you've got a question you'd like to ask us, then you can go here and send it in.
It scared me this time, Hex. Bajo speaking.
Hello, Bajo. Just one more thing. I've got Cloudbuilt all set up and ready to play.
All right.
Oh, brilliant. Let's go play it now.
We'll be right there.
Thanks, Darren.
All right, Darren, show us what you got.
Affirmative.
Go, Darren, go, Darren, go, Darren.
Awesome,
Affirmative.
Darren. Great
Affirmative.
string of
Go, go, go. Darren, what happened?
Tricky, isn't it?
It's I'm just learning the level.
You gonna ninja up this wall?
Follow the
you can
blue
do it.
light.
Oh, gotta go fast! Gotta go fast! Oh, gotta go
Nice.
fast.
Cloudbuilt is a third-person action platformer set in a surreal sky world. Using wall runs, double jumps, and a boost move, you have to navigate through some very tricky levels to try and reach the safety of the exit.
And to make your life harder, there's all sorts of traps, turrets, and robots to get in your way. But you do also have a pistol to help you blast through such hazards. Pew pew!
Pew, 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 pew. You play as Demi. Well, actually, you play as her subconscious.
Mental integration of neural repairs is beginning.
She's been injured and is now lying in a hospital bed. In between levels, she tells you a little more about what happened and the struggle she's going through.
We were torn to pieces by an explosion that should never have happened.
It sets a surprisingly somber tone for a game which seems so bright and energetic.
Yeah, it's quite a beautiful and humbling message that they're trying to get across with this, isn't it?
Indeed.
You really feel like the freedom of movement she has in her dreams is her mind's natural response to her condition. And I'm sure anyone who's found themselves in a similar situation could relate to that. So, while I like what they were going for here, I have to say I wasn't a huge fan of the gameplay. I just found it more frustrating than fun. And don't get me wrong, I love a good challenge. I didn't click with this.
Yeah, I have to say though, it is exciting when everything just works and you get a really good run going. But yes, all too often the controls and camera just let you down. So many times I fell to my doom because for whatever reason, the wall climb move just wouldn't work.
A poor workman blames his tools.
Well, maybe we were doing something wrong, Darren, but I swear that wall climb function is broken.
Yeah, it is a bit fiddly, isn't it? They also start putting in so many turrets and hazards that it can just feel unfair, especially since the most annoying turrets just put up invincible shields, so you can't even get rid of them.
And they're really stingy with their checkpoints. After playing through the same section of a level over and over and experiencing cheap death after cheap death, I just wasn't having fun anymore.
But that's the challenge, Hex. It's all about memorizing and perfecting a course to try and post better and better times.
Well, I love challenge, Darren, but not to the point where it's so frustrating that I'm yelling at the screen because it feels unfair.
I like how open the levels are, though. There's usually multiple paths and shortcuts you can take, so if you've been struggling with one approach, there's often another way around.
You're even free to simply ignore the level completely, since the campaign map actually splits into multiple paths, each leading to its own ending.
It's quite a pretty game, isn't it?
Oh, for sure. I love the art style, particularly with that cel-shaded cartoony look. It's bright and colourful and really pops off the screen, and I thought that thumping soundtrack really suited the game too. But pretty looks can only get you so far, and the idea of trying to chase better times in these levels really doesn't appeal to me, so I'm giving this 6 out of 10.
It is a fast-paced game and pretty unforgiving at times, but I think if you can master the levels and really get past those fiddly controls, it's quite a thrill, so I'm going to give it 7.5. Well, after all that gaming, it appears we're out of time, you guys, but Darren, you better tell us the answer to your challenge.
Affirmative, Bajo. I asked if you could name this character and the game he's from. And the answer is Murray from Sly Cooper. Murray is a muscular hippo and expert getaway driver.
Well, thanks for that, Darren. Next week on the show, we're going to play some sports with Don Bradman Cricket. And Connect Sports Rivals.
Look at you, living dangerously.
Who will be the champ? We'll have to take each other on to find out.
As long as you ease off the cheese toasties this week, you might be in with a chance, Bajo.
Actually, Darren, I think I should probably eat more cheese sandwiches because I'll need all that energy to get through the week.
Well, no, he's right, Darren. Cheese toasties have both carbs and protein, perfect for athletes.
Yeah.
Well, you'd both better get into training.
All right.
Darren out.
Hex out.
Bajo out.
All right, guys, 3 quick laps around the ABC. Let's go.
Affirmative.
Okay, Darren, let's talk sandwiches. How many can you pump out an hour?
64 per hour.
That's not bad, I guess. 64 per hour, I guess I could eat, that's like 4 minutes.
Well, alternatively, I could atomize the cheese and create a sort of cheese gas. You could inhale it and get even more cheese into your system.
That's interesting.
It's never been tested. All right, we're running.
Get cracking, Darren.
I'll be right with you. I just need to stretch and warm up for a while.